G'day folks, welcome back to Pete's Investing. It's April the 2nd, 2024. This is the review of the SP500, the NASDAQ, the Japanese Nikkei and the GermanDax. As well, I'm going to be showing you the index which combines all four to show you how they're all trending in combination. This is the heat map which we use, and we cover all these other instruments, including today's video on the market indices, including some FOREX currencies which we may cover in future videos. Firstly, we'll look at the US SP 500, and remember the monthly, weekly are showing long positioning, and the daily is turned into a bearish outlook. So here, for example, on the daily, you can see here it's actually just broken to the downside of the moving average band of the CCI 150, and the weekly has already broken, is showing a long positioning, and so is the monthly. That's how we determine the monthly, weekly, daily trends. So as I said, the daily currently is broken down to a short positioning on the daily for the S&P. Now the ADX is also showing a bullish movement, even though the CCI 150 is broken to the downside. It's still in this nice long support trend on the daily, likewise on the hourly. And on the hourly, when zooming out, we look at the stochastic market forecast indicator, which is showing up here as overbought. It has been that way for a number of months now, and again we need to see it break to the downside, and if it breaks below or above the 50 point, that's where we look at a bearish or bullish signal. So it's very strongly bullish at the moment. As well, zooming into the hourly chart, which shows us more divergence than the daily. The daily, by the way, has got a bearish divergence. With the CCI 150, you can see there it's actually trending down. Those CCI 150 is lower highs versus higher highs on the price. We get a lot more volatility on the hourly, though. You can see there we've had a few bearish divergence and a couple of bullish divergence in those. So higher lows for a bullish divergence versus lower lows on the price, and alternatively lower highs on the CCI 150 versus higher highs on the price for a bearish divergence. At the moment, we've still got a bearish divergence there. So if I draw another trend line between those highs, it's lower highs on the CCI versus, from that point, higher highs on the price. So they can see that it's also fallen off as per those divergence plays. So again, zooming out, we're very much overbought. So this could actually break down any time in conjunction with this longer time frame divergence. Next, look at the GermanDax, and this is long across all time frames, weekly, monthly and daily, still very bullish. Although notice the daily is just touching the moving average band possibly, so it may break into that band in the coming days. On the hourly, again, very much overbought. And if you zoom in, again, there was always these bearish divergence which break to the downside ever so slightly. This one is actually still in play, hasn't broken down yet. So if I extend those trend lines, we expect that to break to the downside at some point. It actually has, that one has actually eventuated, that has failed to break to the downside. So I'll keep an eye on that and see when it will break to the downside. But again, zooming out, very much overbought, and we expect it to break it to the downside at some point. Not sure when exactly. But again, the CCI 150 is still showing a bearish divergence compared to the price chart. On the Japanese Nikkei, on the daily first off, you can see it's already broken to the downside. It hit this resistance up here at 41,160. The CCI 150 is still trending down as opposed to the price, and that's actually a bearish outlook so far on the Nikkei. On the monthly, it's still bullish. On the weekly, it's broken to a neutral, meaning it's broken within that band, and on the daily, it's broken to the downside. Again, zooming out on the hourly chart, still very much overbought, but it has actually made a couple of attempts to break down before recovering again. So again, we need to see it break a lot closer to this 50 point to be very bearish on it, but at the moment, still pretty strongly bullish, although it has hit this main resistance up here at 41,160. Next, we'll look at the NASDAQ. So on the daily first off, you can see again it's hit off this resistance at 18,465. It was in this little range here with that little support at 17,762, and this has also got a bearish divergence with lower highs on the CCI versus higher highs on the price. and that's our target area at the minimum to retrace down if that divergence plays out. Of course, it could always fail. For that to fail, we need to see the price break through that resistance, and for this to fail, we need the CCI to break higher than that entry point there. On the hourly, again, zooming out, you can see there on our indicator, it's still pretty much overbought. Had a few attempts to break to the downside before recovering, so again, nothing really dramatic happening yet. It's still pretty much overbought and making some small retracements throughout the periods every now and again. So what we've got here is the daily chart and the hourly chart for the index for the four indices. So the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Nikkei, and the DAX. This is the daily. So first off, I'll just zoom out on the monthly. You can see that it's still bullish on the monthly. On the weekly, it's actually broken into a neutral positioning, into that moving average band. And on the daily, it's already broken to the downside in a short positioning. Now, this index is just basically a combination of those four market indices. It's showing basically there is some weakness coming up in a day, on a daily at least. And again, looking at the hourly chart, that indicator of ours is showing pretty much overbought and no strong signal to sell yet, apart from the daily showing a short positioning. So just looking at it from different angles, still pretty strongly bullish, although on the daily it's showing a potential decline very lightly. To support us more, go to the Patreon page for Pete's Investing, where we also do weekly scans of blue chip shares that are trending along on a longer and medium term timeframes. Feel free to support us there, and we'll see you in a future video.